Hey guys, so this is a tutorial for making this style mask. This mask is made out of cardboard and EVA foam fleece and a lot of floof. So it's perfect for somebody who doesn't have access to the classic cat mask base that a lot of people use. I did make it a little bit more boxy than I would have liked, but fiddle around with the measurements, see how you like them. So I use this because I don't have access to the classical cat mask bases that a lot of people use. So this is what I turned to and I figured out how to make a few months ago actually. So have fun. I know it's a long video. I do yap a lot. So feel free to put it on 2 times speed or whatever you want. I do yap a lot. But hope y'all have fun. Happy crafting. To start off, you draw this sort of J shape. So this right here is going to be the beginning and turn of the cheek. And up here is going to be right near your temple. So that is going to be right about here. And you can see it really well in this mask that I never had the motivation to finish. It's this piece right here. So you do it, you flip it over, you outline it, you make 2 of these, one for each side of your face. Okay, once you have these 2 pieces, you want to bend them slightly. So that they will kind of follow the curvature of your face. Like that. So a little bit of a curve. And then you're going to cut a thin strip that will connect these 2 at the top and go down the face. So it's going to be this strip right here, right? So we have these, and then this will connect these 2 and go down and up. So you want it to be as thick as you want. The center of the strip needs to be as thick as you want this part of the bridge of your nose to be. Once you have this bridge of the nose drawn, go ahead and cut it out and see how it'll look when you hold them together. So you cut out those pieces, grab this piece, you're going to kind of hold them. So this is going to be the inside of the mask, this side here. You hold them, they're going to be tilted up like this. It doesn't look much like a canine mask yet, but so this is going to be the very top. And then this is really going to be the piece you're going to bend to get that snout. So you're going to go ahead and first want to glue these pieces on. Make sure you space them evenly, because that's the mistake I made with my other one. The face will become kind of contorted if you don't do it evenly. So make sure you glue these 2 pieces on evenly. I'm going to do that and come back and show you the next. So once you get it to this step, these are bent slightly inwards. They're pointed this way. You're going to want to hold it around your face and figure out how long and how you want this piece to be bent. Because this, if you want it super long, like a Doberman or certain types of dogs, you're going to want a longer piece here. But if you want a short-snouted dog, you're going to want it smaller. And you can also change the curvature of the S. So I like to have mine in sort of an S shape. And once you figure it out, you're going to want to bend. You want to play around with the plastic a little bit. Cardboard a little bit until it's bent how you'd like it. And then you'll cut out a piece and glue them on. I'll show you around the shape that piece should be. So that piece is going to be a piece right here. Let me cut to that photo. This is what one of my S pieces look like. One thing that I forgot to mention earlier is that there are little lines in the cardboard, right? So we want those lines in this particular piece running this way. That'll make it way easier for it to bend and look a little bit smoother when we bend it, versus if we were to have to bend it the other way, this way, it would be going against the bends. So this is the piece. You really need to make sure the lines are running like this. So this piece is going to connect right about here on your mask, and this will be the tip of the snout. So however long you want it to go, make sure you bend it, and you're going to make 2 of these. And then I'll come back and you glue them on. Whatever you figure out looks best. So if you want a more downward turn snout versus straight across, play around with it. See what you like. This is just how I like to make them. So this time, once you glued all these pieces together, you are going to fold the upper corners right here inwards a little bit. That'll give you a spot to put the hot glue on to glue it onto this piece. So this piece, I I kind of bent it into the shape I wanted. I'm gonna find a spot where I like how it looks. So like that snout is a little bit too short for my liking. But you can play around with it and see where you want to connect this to the edges of this piece of cardboard. And once you find where you want that silhouette to look like, you're gonna go ahead and glue those corners in. So once you glue these corners in, it should look something like this. So we're starting to get that sort of canine-esque face. I cut off the excess. We're gonna fix this hole later. So we're onto the eyes. So for the eyes, I like to think of it like a normal body, right? So there's bone, there's cartilage, and then there's skin. The cardboard is kind of like the bone. And then our EVA foam, which is what I use, is going to be like the cartilage. It's still got a structure, but it's a little bit softer, easier to work with. And then the skin is obviously the felt, fleece, whatever you use. So to start, you're going to sketch out your eye shape on a piece of paper. And you're also going to want to cut, so this is going to be the upper corner of the eye. It's most likely, my design at least, is going to be a square corner here. So you're going to go ahead and cut a corner piece that goes somewhat like this to give it a little bit more of a rounded edge. And then from there, whatever your design of the eye is, you're going to cut out pieces that outline the eye and stick it on here. So I'll show you mine and show you the pieces I made to leave the outline of the eye and cover the rest up with either cardboard or EVA foam. Let's get to that. So I taped down my eye things, and then I've got some of the building up. Now I need to go to the store and I'll get some EVA foam to fill in here and also make it a little bit less blocky. And then you got to do the same thing with this side. So I'm going to fill in here and here. EVA foam, I'm holding it on the back, and I'm going to trace out where my eyes, and then I'm going to cut it and glue it on. So this is one of my eyes. I used EVA foam, and I sized it to this. So I'm going to go on the back side and glue it like that, so it's the eye shape. So basically get your EVA foam, use your template, draw it out, cut it out, and you're going to glue it on here. And then do that same process I just showed of doing the base lining and then using an EVA foam to do it on the other side too. And then I'm going to do mine, show you what it looks like, and get back to the next step. Okay, so keep it open. I glue it on this is what the inside looks like. This is what the outside looks like. I glue it on, I cut out the shape. They're pretty even on both sides. Now I'm working on Z nose. So what I started with, I just snipped off little corners. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to fold these little corners in as much as I can. And I'm going to push this side of the nose down so to make a little snoot. I'm going to do this, you're going to have to hold it for a few seconds, like that. And then same on the other side. So push it in, pull it down. It gives a little snoot nose. So then, once you get here, you start to do a little inwards. This end piece goes a little bit down. What you want to do is lay it on the cardboard and draw an outline of where the cardboard is right here. And you're going to cut that piece out and glue it on to give this little bottom, because I don't really like the way it looks just with open. So you're going to cut a little piece out that's going to be this part right here that you can put teeth and stuff on. Fun stuff. So I have one piece right here. Bend it a little bit. It's going to be underside of the mouth. That's like that. This is going to be the underside of the mouth. So you're going to bend it a little bit, and you're going to place it, you're going to pop it around the edge. I'm going to glue it underneath here. So it's going to be under the little nose boop, that, right like that. I'm going to do mine and show you what it looks like. So once you're at this stage, it will look something like this. Now, depending on how wide you want this front part of the snout to be, you can change how thick or thin this strip that we just cut out is going to be. So if you want a more thin snout, make this piece thinner. If you want a snout that is way larger, make this piece way bigger. So now that we're at this part, we can move on to the ears. Now for this mask, if you want to do floppy ears, if you want to, I can do a tutorial on that. But for this, I'm going to do up ears. I don't know what they're called. But if you're doing floppy ears, felt it before and paint it before you add these, because I made the mistake of painting it after and got a little bit of paint down here. So I'm going to move on to the ears. Start by trusty paper, draw an outline of the shape you want. I'm going to do that. I'll be right back. Template, I just laid my head down here and just sketch out how I want it. Your template, you're going to want to hold it up to the EVA foam, trace it out, and then you're going to cut out this shape. Now I did the separate pieces so that it's going to be a little bit more like this, a little bit more 3D. If you want to, you can just fold it, but this is how I'm going to do it. So I'm going to cut those all up and glue them together and see how they look on the face. What I did was I glued these pieces onto the side to sort of give it a little 3D look. So I put the glue right here, and then I held it at an angle for a little bit until it dried, and I got this 3D sort of ear shape. Now when I go and put it on, it'll look somewhat like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and want to do the second side, and then we'll get to the floof. Once you're finished, you should have two pieces that look something like this, that if you lay it on top, you like the way it looks. It's kind of hard to position them with one hand, but bam, it's felt time. What I'm gonna do is I like to start right here at the temple and work my way down the nose first, and then go across here and fill in here. Now in the end, because the shape is a little bit funky, you end up with a little bit of a fold. So I'll show y'all what to do with that after I get the main parts on. So start here, lay it. It's kind of hard recording with one hand, if you couldn't tell. But you take the center of the felt, you lay it down, you start the glue, and you work down the nose, and then you go across each side of the face. And also, before y'all do that, if y'all want to round off any corners anymore, feel free to do that. So that's why my snouts always end up looking a little bit boxy, like right here and here. It's something that I'm working on. But, yep, start with felting. So, I've got it here. I've only glued down here so far, so all the rest is off. So, I accidentally, in my own tutorial, I did it wrong, so I had to pull it off. But once you get down to the nose, then you're going to go sort of like this and flatten it here. And you kind of want, if there's going to be a fold spot, you want it to either be right up here near the ears or right down by the nose. So you're going to push it over like this, and you're going to go right here. Right here is the tip of the nose. And you're going to work your way back slowly until you've got two main folds. So I'm going to do that, and I'll show y'all. So you really want to, once you put the nose down, as you spread it this way and put the glue here, which is where the cheek is, you really need to apply pressure. So hold it kind of like this by the eyes and just push it like this as you lay it down, so that you have the smallest amount of folds and creases possible. So like I've just got here and a few right here, and that's it. The main thing is you don't want them right here, because that's what's the most noticeable. So now for this part, I like to go ahead and cut off the excess. So like an inch from where the actual cardboard ends, I'll cut around there, but don't cut near the snout right now, because now we're going to do that. So what I like to do for the snout is I'll kind of fold it like this and then tuck it up. So I'm going to cut it smaller. First I'm going to cut like a sort of triangle right here, so that I can fold the edges under. But I'm going to leave this space here so that in the end I'll be able to put it on top. It's going to be way neater than that. but these sides of the felt goes under, and this part of the felt goes on top. Okay, so now that we're here, we've got it all glued down. I went ahead and cut off the excess. I like to leave out this much space, what's that, an inch, something like that, extra space, and you're gonna cut little tabs and fold them in. Now, keep a flap of fleece or felt right near the snap for later, because we're gonna fix this, and we'll do that after we fold the edges under. So I'm gonna do that and then come back. Okay, now that I've got all of the edges glued down, I'm gonna take this flap right by the nose, and I am going to fold it a little bit in like this and glue about an inch of space, and then cut off a little bit of this excess. Right, so I'm gonna do that on both sides. So you're gonna put glue right about here on the snout and push just a slight part of this felt in and under. So once you've glued it down like that, go ahead and just cut a line to open that fabric, and then you do the same thing with the other side. Glue it down and then cut it like that. So both sides are gonna look like this. So now that you've glued both sides down, you have this sort of funky flap looking thing. What you're gonna do with this is, it's a little bit hard to explain and do, and I can't see too much, but you're gonna grab it, you're gonna push it up over this spot. Once you're here, you're gonna wanna figure out where you wanna cut off this excess fabric. So I go right along the line at the bottom of the snout, and that's where I'll cut my fabric. So I cut it right about to there, and then when I glue it down, I'll show you how I make it look a little bit more seamless. So you fold it over, you glue here, you fold it over, and then you cut right along the base, which is going to be right down there. So once you're here, you've folded this under, you've cut a little bit of the excess. Now what I like to do, side note, make sure your hot glue gun isn't too hot for this step, because you're going to need to use your fingers. So I like to, if it's super hot, unplug it, wait a minute or two, and then do this step, so you're not burning your fingers a lot. But you're basically going to put a little bit of glue right along here, and then you're going to push it. So that'll kind of make it a little bit more flat, just about like that. You can do that a little bit wherever it looks like it's sticking up, like here. Kind of like that. Now, for here, you can do the same thing you did with this part. Make little cuts and then fold it under so that it's a little bit more sharp out edges. But yeah, and then we'll go ahead and do the eyes. Once you've completed it here, you're going to do the same thing you did here for the eyes. So you're going to make a little slit right here and cut little lines going up and down all around, and you're going to fold the edges of the eye into the inside of here. Kind of like with these. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So you cut it like this with your eyes. You take each one of these little flaps and push it in and glue it in. Push it in and glue it in with all of them. Do that for both sides, and we do both sides, and I'll show y'all. So I've done the first fold. I started in here. I put it up. Glue is on the front and back of this first piece, and then I'm going to I'm going to glue hot glue along the back of the ear, put it here, and then I'm going to bring it to the front, do this front corner, and then do it underneath. So I'll show you what that looks like, and then you do that 2 times for both ears. Once you've got into this spot, cut off all of the excess fabric that's around it. Right, so this is one of the ears folds, the inner ear is still open. Cut off this extra. I'm going to leave this extra on the bottom just for a little bit, just because. And so cut off that extra, and then we'll move on to the fur. Once you've got one of the ears, it should look something like this. Right, so it starts on each side, it gets tucked under, and then this edge, you kind of just cut it up and leave the end hanging. We're going to fold that edge over at the very end. So the fur I'm using is going to be this super soft fur that I got from, where did I get it from again? The craft store. I don't even remember the local name of it, but it's thin, and it's like a little bit thinner than the normal faux fur that you get. So if you're going to be using this type of fur, you really want to make sure that the direction of the fur is going the way you want it to. So most often, the way that the ears are most often do is the fur will be going out in an outward direction. If you're going to be doing fluffy ears like this, you want the fur to go down. So really pay attention to the direction of the fur if you're doing a long fur, and make sure that they're both the same, because you don't want one ear the fur goes up and the other goes down. It won't be even. So I'm going to be using this. Whatever fur you use, you're going to want to kind of lay it down and just vaguely eyeball how long you want the piece to be. Or if you still have your ear template, you can actually just lay it down on here and mark out how big of a slice of a piece you need to glue it in. So go ahead and mark it out, cut it out, and glue it on. I'm going to do that now. Keep going in a second. Once you got your piece cut out, you're going to inlay it underneath this and go ahead and glue it down. So glue in here and inside here. I have some of this glue, so I decided to just add a little bit of fun, pizzazz, but you glued it on, and it looks something like this, and do the exact same process, oh my gosh, for the second ear, right here. So, this is how mine looks. I like to have my ears attached right about here. I think it looks super fun, so it'll be something like that. I'm gonna go ahead and do the second ear. Feel free to add however much glue you want. Now that you've got both the ears, they are furred, you tuck these pieces under, both here and here, and you'll see where you want them laying on your head. So a little bit further apart, a little bit closer together. You know, depending on where you want it, that's where you'll lay it. So then, ton of hot glue. Ton of hot glue. You just put them on the side and glue it right along here. And then these pieces, I like to have them a little bit forward versus the rest of it. So you'll glue this down to here and this down to here. Put a ton of hot glue on the back. That's what holds mine together. So I'm gonna do mine, come back and show you. I've attached the first ear. I'm gonna attach the second ear next. So right now, I still have it up, but what I'm gonna do is the same thing I did here. I'll cut them and fold these extra flap of fabric down. So I'm gonna go ahead and attach the next ear, and then we're gonna do that. Attach that ear same the way as this one. Glue here, put it on here, and then glue right here, and attach it, this spot, and attach it. Once you've got both of them on, it should look something like this. It's got that animal shape, and this is purely optional, but I'm gonna add a little sliver of floof to the edge of the ears right about here. If you can tell, I love all things fluffy. So basically I'm gonna put glue along here and then attach it, something like that. So let me show you what that looks like. Again, this part is totally optional. If you want to do it, you can. If you don't, you don't. Just have fun with it. See what you like. Now it'll look something like this. Now we're gonna do the eye mesh. The eye mesh, you're gonna want to hold it up to your face, allow, you know, space for you to hot glue it, and trace out the shape of the eye, and then cut a little bit wider from the eye so you have space to glue it onto the actual face. So once you cut that out, you can go ahead and save it for later. I like to put my eyes on after I paint the rest of the base. I traced out and I labeled which side is which with a left and a right. Traced them out, cut them out. Didn't glue them in yet because I like to paint the whole face before I stick these in and then paint these. So just put these aside for later. Now for my favorite part, paint. This is a paint I use because it's cheap and I already had some of them, so I didn't have to spend as much money. They're, I don't know, whatever this is, multi-surface blah 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 acrylic paints. They have tons of colors. They also have like sparkly ones and different shades of white, which is what I wanted for this mask. I kind of did a few different shades of white and stuff, but pick out the colors you want. You might want to swatch them in on like a scrap piece of felt to see if you like the way the colors look together, because they look a little bit different in here sometimes than they do on felt. So just double check. I use them regularly here, and then I do it a little bit different with the fuzz, because if you paint the fuzz with these acrylic, it will get kind of crunchy, which is a mistake I made here. It gets kind of crunchy. So I'll save that, show you how to do these later. But for now, I'm going to paint this and have a vague idea of how you want your mask to look. I never really drop an idea because, shocker, I suck at drawing. But have a vague idea of a color scheme or a theme that you want. So I'm gonna paint mine. I'll come back. Here it is so far. I ran out of black, so I haven't finished the black. But for the floof, for this part, I got cold water and I mixed it with paint till I got the color I wanted, and I painted it all along here to give it a pale white color, pale whitish pink color. Now for these and this, it's a little bit sparkly. I used eyeshadow. So this is my favorite eyeshadow palette ever. It's got tons of different colors. I've used all of them. They show up really brightly, so I used the pink and the orange. And I also used this sparklies to, I don't know if it shows up on camera, but give the inner ear a little bit of sparkle. So that's what you use for these things. Also, a side note, something amazing about the paints is I used a black light paint, so it's gonna glow in black light, and this yellow glows in the dark. It's a little bit splotchy too, because if you want pure black color, I would suggest doing a few rows and layers of the paint. But that's what you do for the floof. So, and then once you're ready, go ahead and paint the eye mesh and glue it on in. Completely finished painting the exterior. Go ahead and take your eyes and glue them in. And here she is. She's still a little bit wet, the eyes specifically, but I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to do these. So basically, find out the length, hold it up to your head and try to find out about how long of a length you want it, or if you already have a mask, you can hold it up and find the length that way. I just do one around the back. So go ahead and find your length and cut out how long you want it. And once you've added this elastic, I like to add a little loop of elastic right here, so that if I want to attach it to my bag or have an easier way of carrying it, I can go ahead and put it on right there. So I'm gonna get a small piece, glue it on there, and then I'll show you the finished result. Here she is, absolutely completed. So I didn't line the inside, but if you would like to, you can. She's got little suns in the back, which I absolutely love. And she is designed, and the colors are modeled after the lesbian flag, which I absolutely love. So I'm all done. If y'all have any questions, feel free to ask them. And as soon as I see them, I'll message back and just tell you a little bit of clarifying stuff. But I hope it wasn't too confusing. And I know I yap a lot, so this tutorial was very long. So sorry for that, but have fun mask making.